Is Tier 3 junior hockey worth it? A big loaded question that we think we have the answer for, so stick around to find out what our take is. What's going on, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Braden Pearl and I'm the CEO and founder of Advancement Hockey Advising, and today we'll be diving into if junior hockey at the Tier 3 level is worth it, which is a huge loaded question here. So as you guys can imagine, this is one of the most common questions that we get from people on our YouTube channel, from our clients and everything. It's something we have to work through with our guys quite often because usually that's the reality. If you don't make the Tier 2 level, you have to ask yourself the question, okay, is Tier 3 worth it? And if it is, what leagues do we go to? And unfortunately, there's no black and white answer here. As we go through the video here, I'm actually gonna give different scenarios as to when it's worth it, when it's not, and then which leagues are worth it and which are not, because it's pretty nuanced. That's why we want to make this video here, because it's not just a yes or no answer, it's worth it or it's not worth it. So definitely stick around to know what those specific criteria are going to be as to how we kind of think through that entire framework if junior hockey at the Tier 3 level is worth it or not. So of course, it's an AHA video. Destroy that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. It wouldn't be the same if I didn't say it at every video. So saying this now, and now we're going to dive right into our framework and thought process. So where I want to start here in this video is doing a quick ranking and our quick thoughts on each league here. Now, we're not going to go in depth. We made a whole video basically ranking the Tier 3 junior leagues that you can find up here. But here it's more like, okay, is this league worth it? Yes or no, and kind of go down the list basically. And there's a few leagues on here that we didn't have in this video that we kind of added here. So definitely stick around to get our thoughts for that. But I want to start there, and then from there, I'll go into specific situations based on specific player roles and all that stuff. And then we'll dive into the different criteria and how we think about things. But I want to do a quick league ranking to start. So the number one league here on our list is the EHL. I think it's a no-brainer when it comes to Tier 3 junior hockey. It advances the most players to NCAA D3 and a lot of players to ACHA D1-2. You have to be one of the top players in the league to advance to D3, but they advance quite a few, over 100 every year. That's why they're consistently number one for the Tier 3 leagues. Number two is the GOJHL, which is technically a junior B league, but it's very good hockey. The caliber is quite good. Probably a slight step up from the EHL, to be honest, in overall caliber, but there's not much D3 exposure. For it to be worth it, you have to have either a good advisor, a good coach, or yourself pushing yourself to get exposure for D3, but it's a good league to go to. Number three, we have the USPHL Premier. The only time it's worth it for this league is if you go to the top teams. If you're on a bottom team, you're not really playing, not worth it. You're not going to get a D3 commit, but if you're on one of the top teams, you'll get a D3 commit. Moving on to number four is the NA3HL. Honestly, they're kind of neck and neck. I always rank the USPHL Premier just a little bit higher based on the data, but the NA3HL, same idea, go to the top teams. And the rest of the leagues here that I'm going to mention, I would say aren't really worth it. Only some in very specific situations towards the top of the list, but afterwards I'd say not worth it at all. So number five on the list is the PJHL in Ontario. Number six is the EHL Premier. Number seven is the USPHL Elite. Number eight is all the junior B leagues in Canada, and there's a ton. We're not going to go through all of them. They're all very similar, but I would say most of them, except for rare situations where it's a young player or something like that, then maybe it's worth it, but usually not worth it. Number nine is the CAJHL, or the Can-Am Junior Hockey League in Alberta. Number 10 is the MMJHL in Manitoba. Number 11 is the NJHL in Alberta. Number 12 is the GMHL in Ontario. And then number 13 is all the junior C leagues all across Canada. And again, this bottom of the list here, not worth it to go to. All right, so we gave a general overview of all the leagues and if they're worth it or not. Obviously, it always applies to your specific situation. So this is where I want to see, okay, if we're looking at those top half of those leagues here and your goal is to go play NCAA D3 or whatever, we're going to see specific situations when it actually is worth it to go play Tier 3 hockey, pay that money with the hopes of moving on. So the two situations where I think it's worth it to go play Tier 3 junior hockey is, first, if you're a younger player, let's say you're 17 or 18 years old, something around those lines, not too young because you don't want to go to these Tier 3 leagues if you're too young. You're better to play prep, AAA, whatever it is. But if you're a younger player, 17 to 18, and you think you're actually going to get good development there versus sitting on the bench in a good Tier 2 junior league, you know, sitting on the bench getting scratched all year, not really developing, losing your confidence, versus going Tier 3, let's say like the EHL or even a top USPHL Premier team, something like that. You go play there, you build up your confidence, you get a lot of puck touches, all that stuff. The coach loves you. I'd say in that situation, it might be worth staying back here and playing Tier 3. Now, again, it depends on the player. Some players are good to go to be scratched once in a while. They're mentally strong, all that. But for some of them, it might be better to actually play a year of development, really dominate, and then be ready to go play and dominate at the Tier 2 level the following year. So that's situation number one. Situation number two is if you're an older player, let's say you're 19, 20 years old, your goal is to go play NCAA D3 hockey at one point, you can play tier 2, but again, you're probably not going to get the leadership aspect, the playing time, all that at the tier 2 level, and you want to finish off your junior career strong, and you want to be seen by as many, let's say D3 schools as possible. Well, then going to a really good tier 3 team, dominating there, having that leadership role, that might actually better prepare you than being a guy who gets scratched as an older guy. And I've been there when you're 19 or 20 year old and you get scratched. It's really not a great feeling. You want to be known as the leader on the team at that point. You're ready to step up. That's what actually is going to develop all those soft skills. So sometimes going to, let's say, a good EHL team, being the top guy there, being the captain there, the assistant captain, whatever it is, that actually might be worth it. And for those two situations that I mentioned, if the tier 3 team is willing to give you a really good discount or even sometimes play for free, at that point I would say it's probably worth it versus going to a tier 2 team where you might have to pay or something like that, you know? So it's those things that you kind of have to balance. I'd say in these two situations, it's definitely probably worth it to go play tier 3 versus playing a tier 2. All right, now let's look at situations where it's not worth it. You're a really young player. Let's say you're 15 or 16 years old. I'd say 16 because most 15-year-olds don't play junior hockey, but let's say 16 years old, you want to play juniors, but to be honest, let's say it's a tier 3 team that likes you, but they say, hey, you're going to be in and out of the lineup, all that. I'd say for sure not worth it. You're going to waste money, you're going to waste your time, and you're not going to get the development that you need. You have to focus on development at that age. So you're better to go to a really good prep program, really good AAA program, get that ice time, keep developing, and then move on to the next level when you're ready. Move on to the junior level when you're physically prepared and you're ready to go. And to be honest, it's better to actually wait at that point because you don't want to get that tier 3 label if you don't need to. You're better to keep developing at a AAA, good prep program, all that until you're like 17 or so, and then when you're 18, you can jump maybe straight to tier 2. Sometimes you'll go to tier 3, but then you'll be better ready and you'll get more ice time. So I'd say for the younger players out there, really make sure that you don't jump the gun and go play tier 3 junior hockey right away. It's usually not the play. Second situation where it's not worth it to go play tier 3 junior hockey is if your goal is to just live the dream and have the junior experience and kind of just sit back and enjoy the ride. If you don't have an end goal in mind of going to play NCAA or going to play ACHA or whatever that end goal is, go play pro if you can. I'd say junior hockey is probably not worth it at that point. You know, not just tier 3, but junior hockey altogether. I've seen those teammates, they go, they pay some money to play for the year, all that, where they could actually just go to school right away and advance their careers or do something else with their life, you know? The goal is just to live the dream. Usually with no end goal in mind, usually those guys kind of fall off. So it's not a great reason to play, and I would say it's not worth it at that point. Number 3, if you're an older player who wants to go straight to pro, to do that from tier 3 junior hockey is extremely difficult. And if you do end up getting some sort of a contract, it's probably going to be a pay-to-play contract once again. So you're continuing to pay money. It's going to be at one of the lowest end leagues. So to do it straight from tier 3 junior hockey, very hard. Usually you have to play some sort of college hockey or play tier 2 junior hockey at the very least to get some sort of a decent pro contract. So honestly, I would say at that point, not worth it. You're better to refocus on trying to get NCAA D3 or even an ACHA commitment at that point. And the last point I want to mention here is if you're really tight financially and teams won't give you a discount. If teams aren't giving you a discount, especially if you're a 19, 20-year-old, it means that they don't value you as the top guy on the team or one of the top guys on the team. So chances are you're not going to go there, dominate, and then get a really good sick deal, NCAA D3 or something like that, you know? There is an exception here. Sometimes some teams just really rarely give out discounts and they do see you as one of the top guys. And if you play for that team, you have something lined up, let's say the ACHA level or even low-end NCAA D3 level, and you think that you're gonna actually get a really good deal at that school, then maybe it's worth it. But I would say usually that's more the exception than the rule. Usually if a team's not offering you a discount, your family's super tight financially, at that point you might have to ask yourself the question, is it actually worth it to go play here, or should I just go straight to school and try out for that ACHA team basically? And that's it, my friends. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this video gave you a lot of value and you have a better idea as to if junior tier 3 hockey is worth it or not. If you like this video, definitely keep watching here or here. Hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell, and we'll catch you on that next one.